Okay, welcome back. Man, it's been something. For some reason, the app kept crashing, but we're back. Okay, welcome back. Man, it's been something. For some reason, the app kept crashing, but we're back. I just finished a little segment on YouTube, and now I'm back here. So, alhamdulillah, you know. Yeah. I guess I'll just dive right into it, okay? Here we go. Transparency, this is page 151 of the book here. Transparency and trust always win. Once you master the art of understanding rather than being understood, you can move on to working on your transparency and simply being you. I've gotten so much further in my life by not only listening, but also by being open and not trying to become anyone but my true self. When I was younger, I was driving in a car with a gentleman who was a bit older and much more successful than me. I was in my early 20s and was at the start of going from that broke kid in my heart to generating real income and believing in myself. I was at a phase in my life where I was doing pretty well from where I had started. I had used a car dealership and collision shop as well as 20 apartments, and I was building new houses. I was starting to become a big fish in a little town of about 7,000 people. But I was hungry for the next level. So this gentleman was taking me down to New York City to pitch an idea and business model I was calling E-Therapy to a venture capitalist group. I wanted to create a business to connect therapists with patients who would receive counseling online. I realize this is no big deal now, but it was a pretty awesome idea in 1994. Nothing even close existed at the time. I remember driving to New York City in his Jaguar and discussing weaknesses and strengths. I remember that he looked at me and said, "Dean, what do you think your biggest weakness is?" I responded, "My biggest weakness is that I trust too easily, and because of that, I have been taken advantage of several times." I went on to say, "I have to learn to be more businesslike, be more shrewd." He said, "So you think that your biggest weakness is that you are too nice and trustworthy?" I said, "Yep." He looked straight in my eyes and said, "That's crazy that you think that, because I think that's your biggest strength. You're 20-something years old and have no big business experience, no money to fund this idea you are proposing, and you have no college degree yet. Yet, I'm bringing you to New York and risking my reputation because you're so trustworthy and because you're so caring." He continued by saying, "By being honest, transparent, and a man of your word, you're going to get taken advantage of. But when you look back in life on how much you lose compared to how much you'll gain by attracting the right people and persuading them to take action, transparent and a man of your word, you're going to get taken advantage of. But when you look back in life on how much you lose compared to how much you'll gain by attracting the right people and persuading them to take action with you because of your kindness and transparency, it'll far outweigh your losses." This was over 20 years ago, and he's still 1,000% right to this day. By the way, that wasn't my true story. It was a limiting belief I got from my dad growing up. He loved me a bunch, as parents do, and he thought he was protecting me by giving me this belief. It died that day. People, the right money, the right job, the right business into your life, transparency always wins. Many times you'll do business with people who keep certain things hidden or try to mask who they really are. I decided at a young age that I was going to be me regardless of what the outcomes were. So maybe some would consider how I approach business to be too transparent, too trustworthy. But now I know that people want to do business with me simply because of that. Who cares if, on occasion, someone takes advantage of me? I remember when I first launched Graziosi.com and I opened it up to the world, I was as transparent as possible, and I wanted people's feedback on every video and every post I created. Sometimes I got feedback that wasn't very pleasant. But at the end of the day, I was being the true me, and people appreciated that fact. And by listening to what people had to share, I got better. When I started becoming completely transparent and speaking from the heart, my company zoomed to the next level. In this book, I'm speaking to you from the heart. I get to talk about my family, my personal struggles, my relationships, and my life. I know that in business relationships and even in my personal relationships, the more transparent I am about my good and bad feelings, the better my relationships become. The more we open up and become ourselves, the more we bond. And that does nothing but help us get to another level. Authenticity and enthusiasm outweigh perfection and structure almost every time. Now think about this concept as it relates to your business. How can you be more transparent in your business and in your career? I'm not talking about being someone who's always wearing their heart on their sleeves or boring everyone by constantly talking about their feelings. I'm talking about being honest, open, and authentic with the people of your business. Because you can't pretend to be someone you're not or even exaggerate who you are. False hype is just as harmful as being inauthentic. Salespeople who rely on hype instead of understanding the customer really rarely succeed. As consumers, if we detect hype or BS, we tune out or we just leave, end of story. Transparency is a better strategy every time and in every situation, whether we're talking about your business or your personal life. People can see through insincerity and falseness. Authenticity always wins. Okay, well, hey, authenticity always wins. Okay, well, hey, Greenie, look at that. I didn't see you there. Yeah, I'm just stopping right there because my title, I think, is a little bit, it might seem contradictory to what I'm just reading, but I don't think it is necessarily. Hey, tap that screen, let me know you're there. Yep. Yeah, because I agree with him, transparency, authenticity win. But I think that you can still be wise. You can be private and transparent. Hold on a second. What is this? I think you can be, I know you can be private and transparent at the same time. I think a lot of times it's not either or, you know what I mean? It seems that way. It may be that way in some cases, but yeah, I think that, it's kind of like struggle in silence type of thing, It's like, it's not about the attention. I think that, so that's why to me it's congruent. Sell people what they want. I've seen huge companies and startups with passion fail. Companies with lots of money raised never get off the ground. And inventions flop because the inventors were certain they had created. Lots of money raised never get off the ground. And inventions flop because the inventors will actually want them. And does this only happen in business? No, we sometimes think we know exactly what our spouse needs, what our children need, what our family members need, and what our employees need. And then we deliver that with an epic fail because we sometimes think we know exactly what our spouse needs, what our children need, what our family members need, and what our employees need. And then we deliver that with an epic fail because what they really wanted was something completely different. We assume we know what they need, but deep down they wanted our love, wanted us to listen, wanted us to pay attention, or wanted us to stop being so distracted. I know I make this mistake with my children sometimes. I focus so much on what I think they need, and I forget to satisfy what they really want. There are a lot of people that need to lose weight, but they actually want to eat fatty foods and ice cream and too much bread. People need to go to the gym, but if they don't want to, they'll never walk in the door. Some people need to go to marriage counseling, but they don't want to go to the bar, but they want to go to the bar and have a couple of drinks to numb the pain of a bad relationship. No matter what your goal is, taking your business to the next level, starting a new business, or evolving through the ranks in your current job, remember that supplying what people want in most all cases will win over supplying what you think they need. Do the research and understand what your prospect wants. What does the end consumer want that you can satisfy? What does your boss want that you can provide? What does the next level of your business look like when you know what your employees want? To make them work harder and to see a bigger vision. I have a saying that I think will serve you well, even if you might question the ethics of it initially. But it's something that is very true, and I'd like to see if you can apply it in your life, in your business, and in your ability to create wealth. Sell people what they want and give them what they need. If you reverse this concept, if you try to sell them what you think they need, you'll probably fail. Better to hit the bullet points of what they want and wrap it around what they need. That's what you see all the time in successful marketing and advertising. If people need to lose weight, just telling them they're unhealthy or that their weight can shorten their lives may not be enough to get them to take action. They probably know they need to lose weight, but a good ad might spark the powerful want inside of them. I want to feel sexier about myself. I want to be able to go to the beach or the pool and feel confident in a bikini. I want to have my spouse look at me as sexy again, or look at me as that fit man or fit woman I used to be. When you tap into people's wants, you stir their emotions, and emotions make decisions. As long as you're emotionally engaging them in a process or an action that can help their lives, do anything in your power to turn a proposed behavior into reality. If you can do anything in your power to get your healthy, overweight friend to take action and lose weight and get healthy, then you do it. But no, if you just tell them or try to market to them or try to persuade them of what they need to do, you might fall flat. I'm going to read this one again here. It's the last paragraph of this chapter. If you can do anything in your power to get your unhealthy, overweight friend to take action and lose weight and get healthy, then you do it. But no, if you fall flat. In your personal life, your business, and your wealth creation, people will buy what they want over what they need. Adjust accordingly. It's very interesting. Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at the end of this section here. We got a nice long section coming up. What do you think? Tap the screen, ask anything. It's a process here. I could go on. I don't know. Should I go on and tell stories? You'll notice that throughout this book, I use a lot of real-life examples to illustrate the points I'm trying to make. And that's because I think examples, anecdotes, case histories, stories are an essential part of persuasion. To make these stories effective sales tools, though you need to tell them the right way. People often say to me, Dean, you've been on stage and on camera forever, but unlike you, I'm shy. I can't persuade anybody. My message isn't going to attract anybody. I know I seem like an extrovert on camera, and I seem like an extrovert on stage in front of thousands of people. But truth be told, I'm a total introvert. When I go to my kids' functions and all the parents are there, I want to hide in the corner. And I'm being completely honest here. It's just how I am. Knowing how to sell good stories, though, gives me confidence on stage. And not only that, but when you learn to tell stories well, you will increase your ability to persuade and attract people. If you can tell a story with a message woven expertly into it to illustrate key points, you will be more persuasive. Being a good storyteller can show your boss that you're more qualified than he might think. Or show your employees that you understand who they are. Stories can have all the impact in the world. What stories from your past can you tell that will strike people as funny? What stories can you relate that reveal your work ethic or how smart you are? Yeah, that's an interesting question. Kind of ruminating on it. Funny stories. I might have a funny story, but I'm going to finish this. I'm going to keep going here. Let's see. Finish this. I'm going to keep going here. Let's see. I've been on TV for 15 years straight. And on every show I tell stories with an impactful message rolled into it. Next time you see me on TV or see me on stage, watch for the examples I integrate into my message. Stories have helped me transition from being the shyest kid in my class who would skip school if I had to present in front of the class to being up on stage by myself speaking to 15,000 people. So what stories can help you make this transition? Whether you are thinking, this is awesome, I have lots of stories to tell, or you're uncertain if you have any good ones, take a moment and list the stories that could be good candidates. Remember, you may be looking to share a lesson, overcome an obstacle, illustrate your dedication or hard work, or show how caring you are in a relationship. Take a moment and write what would come after the sentence, I think there is a great story behind the time I did blank. You fill in the blank. Then dissect the story for the pieces you want to emphasize and share. When you tell the story to other people, remember to relate it to them. Make them anxious to hear the conclusion so they can benefit from the idea or learn from you. And as you're doing this exercise, keep in mind that enthusiasm and authenticity outweigh perfection and structure almost every time. My storytelling skills were really tested a few years back when my family and I were on vacation in California and we were sitting outside around a fire pit. My son was 5 years old at the time and the shortest kid in the school, just like I was. And I knew that one of his classmates was making it a little tough on him. So as everyone was old at the time and the shortest kid in the school, just like I was. And I knew that one of his classmates was making it a little tough on him. So as everyone was sitting around the fire, we had just finished making s'mores, and I could see sadness on my son's face. When I asked him what was wrong, he brought up going back to school in a few days, his short size, and how he wasn't sure he wanted to go back. Brody, I was too small. I know what it feels like, but it made me stronger, made me tougher, and I achieved so much because of it. You're going to be fine. That would be me trying to get him to understand me, my feelings, what I went through. As I noted, this approach wouldn't create a connection, and it wouldn't help him feel understood. If I would have said, don't worry about it, it's no big deal, you'll be fine, there would have been no emotional connection. So in my head, I immediately had to figure out how to provide an empowering lesson and have him see that he was created that way for a reason. How could I teach him to be strong without making it about me, and at the same time making him feel understood? That's when a story popped into my head, and this one I made up as I went along. I said, Brody, have you ever heard of Toof? Not tooth, but Toof, spelled T-O-O-F. He said no. And then my daughter Brenna perked up her ears and chimed in with no, who's Toof, Dad? I said Toof is the one-toothed werewolf. He's only half werewolf, and his werewolf side only comes out during the half moon. But boy, he is ugly as heck when that happens. He has patches of long fur across his body, one tooth, he howls weird, and he's just funny looking. And they were like, really? So what happened with Toof? I said. Well, you know, Toof went to school and everybody thought he was a normal student until one day there was a half moon. And all of a sudden Toof comes out of the bathroom with big patches of hair, one tooth sticking out a little sideways, looking really weird. So do you know what happened? Just like everywhere at every school and during every time period of life, there was a bully who picked on him. The bully called him funny looking, and he called him bad names. And just made him feel sad, made him cry, and made him feel alone. And my kids were looking at me with questions in their eyes. What happened next? What happened to poor Toof? How old is he? Is he real? I continued with the story saying, yeah. But then one day, Toof was walking to school, and he saw the bully that always made fun of him getting dropped off by his dad. What he noticed was that his dad was bullying him, and was really mean to him, and pushed him out of the car, and it hit Toof's heart. And he said, I don't care how he treats me. I now understand why. And Toof walked up to the bully, and he said to him, listen, you can be mean to me, but I understand why you are, and I'm sorry your dad treats you that way. And he tried to give me a hug, and the bully kind of pushed him away. But then all of a sudden at lunch, the bully sat with Toof. And they sat and talked to each other, and they eventually became friends. But that day, it wasn't really about the bully. What Toof realized is that he wasn't going to give anyone else permission to make him feel bad, that he was in control of his emotions and feelings. He decided to be happy no matter what other people said or did. He realized it doesn't matter what he looks like or what his hair does or that he's half werewolf and half human. What matters is how he feels inside, and that people's words on the outside can't affect him. And Toof got empowered, and all of a sudden the whole school started liking him. So soon his confidence grew, and he became head of the student council. And Toof went on to go to an amazing college and get married and be happy because he realized that his value wasn't in other people's thoughts, but that his value was who he was on the inside. That his value wasn't in other people's thoughts, but that his value was who he was on the inside. And oh my God, my kids went nuts. They loved Toof. They were like, Toof is so awesome, I want to meet him. Tell us other stories. We sat around the campfire for hours as I made up Toof's story after Toof's story. In one story, he got married. In another, he had children. Then he named his kids Silly, Lily, and Dilly, and all these incredible messages came from the story. But what did I do at the end of the day? I was able to give a message to my son that I wanted to communicate. I empowered him. And I empowered my daughter through a story with a powerful message. If I would have just said it without the story, it never would have sunk in. Needless to say, my son totally forgot about his school and height worries, and the mean kid wasn't relevant anymore. You have the same grace to think about the stories you can tell in your family, in your business, in your life, and in your love. All right, so that's the end of that. That's the end of that section right there. Yeah, I could go into that. Just a little tiny bit left in this chapter, almost on chapter 8. Great. I could tell a success story about being a teacher. I could tell a success story about being a teacher, Liberty City Elementary. Like 15, 16 years ago now. It was a gap year. I had just gone through a breakup, and I wanted to focus on myself, and I thought that spending time working and teaching would help me do that instead of focusing on learning new things, but be able to kind of just kind of like go through the motions while remembering what happened and making decisions based on that. And again, I don't want to get too long-winded here, but basically the school, it's called Liberty City Elementary, and it was facing foreclosure. Again, this is about 16 years ago. And so it was very, it was not in a affluent area of Miami, and, teachers had left. They had brought in a special principal to see if they could turn things around, Principal Davis. And our team was also brought in for this purpose. And about midway through the year, I remember that one of my teammates, he came to me, and he was kind of like disheartened because he was, just wanting to know if the school was going to remain open or not. He was saying like, is everything we're doing here actually going to pay off? Are we going to have, if this school closes, then what are the kids going to do? He had formed a bond with a lot of his students, and, he was going through some genuine turmoil and trying to figure out what was best for them. He didn't want to mislead them. He didn't want to, just keep building a stronger bond without having some continuity. And so, I remember when this happened, I was like, I mean, I myself did not know what was going to happen with the school. Um, but this guy was great. He was Brian Cohn, great, filmmaker. He's just a really good friend of mine. I haven't spoke to him in a couple of years, but he's always been an inspiration. Just a genuinely kind, but also, kind of fun. He knew how to have a good time. He knew how to joke around. He liked the music, and he liked to spend time with his friends and everything. And yeah, I felt like basically what I told him was that regardless of the result of the school, the bond that we form with those kids mattered. That even if the school did close, the kids would remember the time that we shared together, and that that your love for them, and that your creativity and your genuine desire to help them learn and help them, just be there for them. Again, not always, because he was that type of guy. He wasn't, trying to teach them any kind of way, but help them have fun while learning. And yeah, and so I said that the truth is the result really doesn't matter so much. Not that it doesn't matter at all, but don't let it bog you down. Because again, it's like what you're doing already is helping these kids know that they're loved, know that they're valuable, know that they have a future. And he really took it, he actually really connected, and it actually boosted him up. I remember his face when he left that classroom, and lo and behold, the school not only did not face foreclosure, but was an A school. Gotta go. Thanks for being here. See you next time.